make it tonight. She is sick, so I'll be filling in her place. Open forum is the time for any student to come to the Senate floor one time and share for a short period of time. Would anybody like to utilize open forum at this time?
I've been asked to not, say specific things, so I'll try to keep it brief. Good evening, everyone. According to Cornell Law School, the corruption is the dishonest or unethical use and trusted power for personal gain, often enabled by a lack of transparency and accountability. By that definition, what we witnessed what we witnessed in the Budget and Finance hearing this past Thursday should deeply concern everyone in this room. $62 from every student's services fees is allocated to the Office of Student Involvement, totaling over $4 million annually. More than half of this supports a Office of Student Involvement staff of 22 people, with the remainder being dispersed to student activities organizations, SAOs, such as SGA, ISO, BSU, Student Media, and a handful of others. However, the Graduate Student Council is not funded as an independent SAO, and instead exists as a sub-line item of SGA, leaving the Graduate Student Council without an independent voice in the Budget and Finance hearings. While SGA and the Office of Student Involvement control the allocation of millions of dollars of student activities fees. This should be causing alarm bells for every single person in this room right now. I know of no other student organization that funnels money from one organization to another in this manner, specifically in keeping a chokehold on their financial representation. On Thursday, April 9th, the Budget and Finance Committee reduced the GSC funding by $75,000. That's the largest I've ever seen in my history of looking back at these student involvement fees and these budget requests. No other SAO experienced cuts of comparable size and hobbled GSC's funding support for research travel, the annual student research symposium, which is mostly attended by undergrads, first-year experience mentoring, Graduate Student Appreciation Week, health and welfare initiatives such as mental health, and the monthly colloquia as well, and other graduate-focused programming. During this process, SGA's own allocation was not reduced by a single dollar, and it was not reduced by any of your Budget and Finance Committee senators. And of course, you never would choose to cut your own budget. However, this presents an enormous conflict of interest with legal ramifications. Let's be clear here. The issue is not just this cut, it's how it happened. Graduate students were effectively silenced in this process. We could not respond unless a senator allowed it. When discussions opened up on these cuts, attempts to speak were ignored, and multiple senators introduced similar reductions with no clear justification, and the designated SGA liaison offered no advocacy whatsoever in this case. At the same time, not a single senator proposed cuts to SGA's own budget, despite sitting on this committee. And this is not an isolated issue. We've seen months of stonewalling of basic SGA election data. I was only able to get this data after I put in a request through the Office of the General Counsel. That is a legal request because we are a land-grant institution. We see over $2 million in student fees funding administrative structures with limited transparency. We see key financial details omitted, and we see a consistent lack of advocacy for graduate students on the issues that matter at hand. Stipends, healthcare, tuition, and basic support. Specifically, what happened on Thursday, our budget went from $194,000 down to $100,000. and then from 160,000 all the way down to 120,000 because of a proposed cut. So let's stop pretending this is routine budgeting. This is a system that lacks transparency, accountability, and fails to represent a significant portion of the student population. And it needs to change. I'm calling for a full financial audit of student involvement as well as the SGA process. I'm calling for structural reform to eliminate conflicts of interest in funding decisions. And I'm calling for this right now because tonight you are going to be introduced a budget bill in SGA to review. Because right now, graduate students are taxed but not represented well. And just at a show of hands, how many students here are in the College of Engineering? Great, awesome. How many students are in the graduate school or graduate students here? Great, thank you very much. Warrior.
At this time, would anyone else like to utilize it?
Hey guys, I'm back. Can I hold this? Remind me, I don't know how that works. We kind of talked about it a little bit in here last week, or at least it was brought up while I was up here getting my timeline approved. But you all have access to my goal sheet, and I also know that you've probably heard about it. I'm proposing, or at least I would like to see some changes be made to specifically the Miss Homecoming budget. And I think there's a lot of misunderstanding with it, but I don't make policy, I don't write legislation, I just know about elections and I know about Miss Homecoming. And so wanted to come in and kind of shed some light on how that works. Let me go to the next one. Oh, I can do it. I'm sorry, I didn't even realize. Wait, that's great. So a big misunderstanding when it comes to SGA budgets, and I think that, or election budgets, and y'all should probably know this because you were all elected every year, but your candidates are responsible for their own budget. So I've had a lot of people ask me if raising the budget impacts SGA's budget at all. It doesn't. We don't stipend candidates. That's not something that we do. They're responsible for their own funding, most of which, especially major candidates, are funded by an organization. There are situations in which this doesn't happen. Most of the time, that is the case, and those organizations are at liberty to give them the amount of money that the code designates, but there are situations in which that doesn't happen, in which case that's why we have coupon contracts in the packet for major candidates to use, but we haven't done education on those in a long time, and so people haven't used them in upwards of 5 years. I would really like to see that come back because you actually can cut your budget down for those that are funding their own campaigns, but every single thing that you're going to purchase, all the way down to the scissors that you're going to use to cut something, have to be included in your budget, so it adds up really, really quick. I've seen that. I was campaign manager in both the fall and the spring, and yeah, completely different experience just because of that. So I want to kind of show y'all, I know y'all probably know this, but it looks like now, right now Miss Homecoming gets $750, the spring major candidates get $1,500. I would like to see it be evened out, mainly because they're recognized by the code as major candidates, and they're doing the exact same thing in terms of election, and this part designates how that process works. Their position afterwards, that's not my job to worry about. It's not election law's job to worry about. It doesn't outline what the responsibility of Miss Auburn is, but it does outline the process of her becoming Miss Auburn, and it does outline the process of him becoming the SGA president. And so I think it's the same thing for Miss Homecoming. I put $1,500 because I would like to see it be even, but really I just want to gather feedback from y'all and allow y'all the opportunity to ask questions about it, because I would like to see it be raised at least from $750, because half is, in my opinion, I mean, they literally half the budget, and that's kind of insane in my opinion, but also because y'all didn't know, the last time that this section of the budget was amended was in 2015. Talked to Jamie about that. And yeah, $750 in 2015 is over $1,000 today because of inflation and because of rising costs, and I just think we need to account for that, especially when we're talking about these girls who, some of which are funding their own campaigns, and especially when shipping isn't included in that budget and they're on a shorter timeline, so they are paying more money out of pocket in order to compensate for that. And then yeah, that's it, saying that they're considered major candidates. And then I wanted to show y'all, these are my two budgets from my time as a CM. They are the same. And I think that I point that out. They're buying the same things. Everything is the exact same. The difference is quantity. You're asking candidates they're doing the same amount of work, but they have to settle for less. I don't think that's right. I don't think it's respectful to those girls. I saw firsthand just how hard they're working, how much work goes into this. And we're announcing, Miss Homecoming is one of Auburn's longest standing traditions. You announce it for like 88,000 people. And I think that they deserve the exact same amount of respect. They're shedding light on the community that brings us all together, and I think they deserve the same amount of respect. So I just want you all to ask questions and us to be able to talk about it, because I think it's confusing. And yeah. I don't know. Just wanted to throw it out there. This is not a bill yet for reference. So we're not, y'all aren't voting on it or anything. It's not a bill yet, but it can become one.
Does anyone have any questions?
Jones Engineering, would it be possible to change that number to match inflation, but not to match?
I would be fine with that, but I don't get why we wouldn't even it out personally, because of the fact that it's the same. They're doing the same things. Like, I did the same things in my job at the CM, and they're on a shorter timeline, but it's the same exact process. We designate an entire week out of the semester for them to go out and be on the concourse. They're building campaigns the exact same way. They are subject to the exact same election law. I understand that the position is different afterwards. Totally get that. But I don't think that that's really what it's written for. You're written to govern the process of them getting there. It's not about what position comes following. Like when I look at minor candidates, the exception is going to be at large, and it's because of where they're going and what they're purchasing and all these things, because they're representing a greater portion of the student body. So that makes sense. Miss Homecoming is representing the exact same amount of the student body as some of these other positions are. Yeah, I get the argument, and that makes sense. I would be okay with it if that would be the compromise. I would be fine with it. I just, having been a Miss Homecoming CM, 750 is just not enough. It's not. It's difficult. The last 5 EDEs haven't been involved with Miss Homecoming, so it makes sense why this has never been brought up before. I was fortunate enough that I did get to do that, so that's why it's coming now. But yeah, get what you're saying.
Any additional questions? All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Would anybody else like to utilize open forum at this time? Seeing none, we move into the approval of the minutes. The minutes were sent out electronically last Tuesday. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Seeing there are none, the minutes are now marked as approved and corrected. We will now move into the reports with our officers, starting with the president.
War Eagle. War Eagle. Okay. I have a couple things. The most exciting is probably the second one. But the first one, I talked about it a little bit last week about the Haley Center renovation. Do come see me afterwards to give me some feedback on what that space could be used for. The committee has no prior ideas of, each individual person probably has ideas of what it should look like, but there's no group collective. We're at square one. Nothing's been talked about. The students get to have the opinion, the voice. I saw Vinnie Nathan right after that meeting, and she's the one that's really heading this up. And Lily and I are both in that. We're not the first ones to talk in that meeting. Vinnie Nathan came up to us after and said, I want y'all to be the first ones to talk next week. So that's our next month when we meet again. So that's how much they value the student opinion and voice. So if y'all have thoughts on what it should be used for, what should happen to it, should we renovate it, should we tear it down, come see me, come talk to me about that. I really do want to bring a collective, unified voice to them, not just what Lily or I think. Okay, football. Soccer, we got Argentina and Iceland coming this summer, June 6th? 9th? Y'all buy tickets, they open at 10 o'clock today. So if you've not already bought tickets, they're cheaper for students than they are for anyone else. So you have an opportunity to, I'm pretty sure that's right, but go buy them. They'll be fun. You're not going to be able to see Messi as easily as you are this summer. Okay, University Senate, we have that this week. That would be an interesting Senate after HB 580 got passed. I can bring more about that next week. And then we have Board of Trustees meeting this Friday. exciting. Okay, facilities, call this number or text this number. Can you text it, Colin?
Yeah.
Text this number if you see something on campus, like paint chipping on the side of the building, a brick loose, like anything facilities related that you think needs to be fixed. Take a picture of it, text that number, call them, you can call them, and they'll get you to the right place. But we were in a meeting with them 2 weeks ago now, and we asked them, what do we do if we see bricks loose, and this is open to every student, like this, and they're very good about fixing them when you tell them. Okay, shared governance, I explained a little bit about that last week, but we'll have that coming soon. And then, okay, I had a meeting with Jimmy Sanford, who's the president pro temp of the board. So he oversees board operations, and he's on the board, but they cycle out who oversees operations or oversees the board. And he's it right now. Had a meeting with him this past week, and it went very, very good. They are talking about direction of the university. If you have questions or ideas about enrollment, come see me. Okay. Thank you all.
Next, we'll go to report from our treasurer.
All right, guys. Good evening. How we doing? Good. Okay. Yeah. Final budget hearings is really all I have. Okay, I'm going to address some of the things said in open forum. So, as an overarching statement, remember that our processes that we have in SGA are well thought out and they are ethical. And if you have questions or concerns about them, please ask them. Please do not just think them and not voice them. These questions have been asked before. These concerns have been raised before. They have answers, and they are well thought out. So ask Brad, come by my office, come by any of our offices. We are happy to talk about them. Okay, firstly, undesirable outcomes do not make organizations and processes unethical. Sometimes things don't go the way that we want them to, but in this scenario, there isn't just more money. To add money to an SAO's budget is to take it away from someone else's. The Budget and Finance Committee did not just have more money this year. So to add money, which they did, let's be clear about that. I think one thing that might be unclear is what a cut is. The cuts were made to the proposed budget. The organization did not lose money year over year. So $74,000, yes, was cut from the proposed budget, but the budget increased year over year $23,000, which was by far and away more than any other organization. And saying $74,000 was more than any other organization, this year UPC was cut $118,000 to $118,200. Okay, so SGA making cuts before the BNF process. That is what we ask every other SAO to do. That is literally the point, is to make your budget as lean as you possibly can so that when we go into the BNF process, it's done before we get there. So obviously, you're then put in a situation where you have to make cuts. That's how a budget works. We had less money this year than we did last year. So yes, cuts were made. We were, I think it was over $200,000 over budget. So yes, coordinated cuts were made before the hearing, which is what we asked everyone to do. So that if we get through offered cuts, cuts have to be made. So we think about them beforehand. That, I would say, is even more ethical than not. The process is thoughtful, like I said. Okay, no voice being heard. BNF hearings are not an open forum. The only people that speak are the BNF committee chair, Winchester, and who he decides to acknowledge. And those are typically SGA, BNF, senators, and who they choose to yield their time to. Who is 99% of the time, if not 100, it was at our hearing, but I can't speak for every hearing, the the SAO's financial representative. So in SGA's situation, me. And I did not choose to speak up because they got an increase of $23,000. So I didn't feel that there was any wrong done, amidst other organizations losing money year over year. As far as the audit goes, all of our information is public. You are all welcome to it. It is freely available to you. Please, Brad's door is open. Please come ask the questions. If you have concerns, they are available to every single student. We are transparent, we're thoughtful, we're ethical. Ask the questions. The Office of Involvement paying for salaries. Think about it. The Office of Student Involvement is what facilitates and serves us. They are what drive it. They're the engine. They're the heart of actually making this happen. They're the reason that we get to exist. So it was a decision made a long time ago that we would pay for their salaries because they are literally ancillary to us. They are the reason that we can operate. So why wouldn't we pay for their salaries? And yeah, so in Brad's, sorry to name drop, the Director of Student Involvement salary does not come from that. It comes from the Office of Student Affairs. Anyway, I will get off my soapbox, but I think that these addresses were important, and if you guys have further questions, again, please come ask them. I bet they have been asked before. But anyway, yeah, it's an ethical process. Ask the questions. They're good to ask. But yeah, anyway, all right, guys. Y'all have a good night.
Now with reports from outreach.
Hey y'all. Good Monday. Okay, so for ring night, we've got some discounts from some Auburn Downtown Merchant Association. So if you have your ring, you've got a discount from Fabric, Behind the Glass. Anyways, you'll get me an email. Anyways, there's that. Last shadowing went well. Everyone should shadowed. Again, representative of those. And I think next year, lobby board will open up shadowing for more lobby boarders to go see more representatives. So y'all apply for lobby board in the fall. Breakfast with the mayor and city planner will be on Wednesday with Willis and my city relations directors and external affairs AVP. Soccer's coming to town. Willis already talked about that. That'll be really big for Auburn's businesses. Grad students, I have a question for y'all there in the room. I talked with Laura Kelly, or what's her name?
Laura Fuller.
Laura Fuller, sorry. I got a Laura Kelly from home. Anyways, talked to Laura Fuller, but to get kind of points of where grad students live, so we can keep a Tiger Transit open later than 5 o'clock in the summer. I was wondering, just so we can just have one loop of Tiger Transit, if y'all could, if anybody's got areas y'all live, and you have class past 5, either shout them out now or I can get it from y'all later and I'll get it from her.
It's like the North Gay stop.
Yeah.
That's off, like, that intersects Martin Avenue.
Okay.
That one 100% needs to stay open. There are a lot of grad students that live over there.
Great, thank you. And then we had SOS Browse, which is kind of a browse where transfer students can come in and kind of see all organizations and whatever. So SGA was present there and it went really well. It's a good transition for those transfer students. We've got Camp Regal pep rallies. Those were sent in a GroupMe, so y'all sign up for those. They're really fun. We make a little spirit tunnel, and it's really fun to all get together. And we've sent those to some other organizations like BSU and ISO and stuff like that. We've got Camp Eagle for, I'm working on getting a Camp Eagle for graduate students and international students, just to let y'all know. We've got Auburn Answers on Monday, so if you want to table, it's really fun. Way to just kind of table with other SGA people. And then we've got our chamber meeting next week, so I won't be here next week. But yeah, see y'all in the fall.
Thank you. Thanks for marching the staff.
All right, where are you going, guys? So we had our cabinet retreat this past Saturday. We're gonna have a full SGA retreat in the fall. So look forward to that. Thank y'all for showing up the headshots today. We're gonna get the website updated with all of those within the coming weeks. If you did miss it, we're gonna have a makeup time next week for cabinet. We could have a 30-minute slot for Senate as well, if that would be easier for y'all. Thoughts on that? Yes? And then Jenny Tate talked about Miss Homecoming a little bit earlier. We have the opportunity to nominate somebody for Miss Homecoming. This has to be a rising senior graduating next year. So is there anybody that y'all would like to nominate? And we'll vote on it later. Cole? No? Nobody? All right. Well, thank you guys, and we're able.
Next part, initiatives.
All right, I'll be real quick. Dining meeting feedback. I have a dining meeting this week. Excuse me. I have a dining meeting this week, so if y'all have any feedback, anywhere on campus, food stuff, please come find me after. Core curriculum review. Lily and I are on this committee now, taking over from Mims and Buckley, and so we have a meeting this upcoming Friday. This is once a month, so we will be meeting there on Friday. North End Zone meeting with Corey. I had a North End Zone meeting with him this past Tuesday, and got to basically go over the whole thing, all the plans, everything that's coming forth here with the board on Friday. So pending that, what do you call it? Pending that gets approved, we'll hit the ground running with that construction. So that will be a lot of fun. Fingers crossed. And then finishing up exec goals. Us as an exec are pretty much done with exec goals, but we're finishing up some wording, different things like that, wordsmithing, if you will, and those should be out very, very soon. So that's all I have. Hope y'all have a great week.
We will now move into reports from our committees, starting with academic affairs.
Joe Engineering, hope y'all had a good weekend. Today we have a meeting with Dr. Degatti to discuss our current project with exam dates prior to finals. In addition to that, he gave an update on the academic dishonesty policy changes that went into effect this semester and how that's been going. We also have a meeting with Ms. Huff on Thursday to discuss a poll we're planning on implementing to get student feedback on finals. Thank y'all.
Next with AEO. All right. Next with budget and finance.
Hey guys. So as you all know, we had the final budget hearing on Thursday this past week. We're going to have that legislation come through tonight as a future order. I would really encourage you guys over this next week to really look at it, ask questions. Like Jackson said, that's what we're here for. So yeah, look forward to hearing from you all.
Thank you. Now with the balls.
Long CLA. I just want to use this time. Hope you guys had a good Masters weekend. I know I did. So Jenny Tate had a great presentation. I'm going to be bringing that legislation next week. So I know we only had one question during that time, but please ask questions now or find me afterwards. I would love to hear feedback on that. But I'm going to ask all of you guys right now, and I want all of you senators to raise your hands. So we're going to ask if you think it should be raised to 1,000 or if it should be raised to 1,500. Okay, just so I know what we're kind of thinking. Even if you don't support it, just what do you think it should be, okay? So raise your hand if you think it should be raised to 1,000. Okay? Raise your hand if you think it should be raised to 1,500. Okay. All right, that's all I got.
All right. Thank you. Now with our executive. Nope. Now with our
Sorry.
student affairs.
Joe, student affairs report.
Thank you. Now with our executive committee. Pritchett at large, attendance just got published. There's no code tonight. That done. Now we'll be talking about office hours 101 for me. Oh, let me get this slide. So, how to complete. It will be a weekly occurrence. So every single week you will have a form of feedback. Form feedback submit on Canvas. It'll be a module on Canvas, the same way that you're seeing the attendance now. So if you did involvement on Tuesday this week, and then Thursday you did feedback, you would go to the Canvas module titled April 20th, which would be that next Monday, and submit that there. And a missed involvement or feedback hour only results in a 1/3 Senate absence. The involvement hour, that's the involvement hour defined by the code that will be proposed. But essentially the goal is to expand knowledge of other organizations outside your current affiliation, and it's not something you already go to. Examples. A good place to start is other SAO events. UCSO, BSU, etc. Attend their meeting and learn what they do, and report what you learned. If you're wondering whether something counts, just ask. And cabinet does count this year. Report should be 2 to 3 sentences that explain where you went and what you learned. Things that are not included in this. Stuff you've been invited to as a guest. So the Fiji Island Day Party would not count. Things that are purely for entertainment and not informative, Big Man on campus, would not count. And do not repeat the same event multiple times a semester. Your feedback hour is defined by, well, you represent your college as a voted-on leader, so it is your duty to represent your constituents. Gather feedback in an area of your college that is commonly trafficked. Information can be general, college-related, or committee-related. Have an idea or a question in mind before you go. Examples would be for business, Louder Starbucks. Engineering would be Brown Coval Lobby. If your college does not have any designated locations, the Student Center is a good idea. The best thing is to be public. Signage will be available upon request. It'll be a Google form in the GroupMe. Write a question on a whiteboard or a piece of paper, and take notes and gather feedback. Good feedback looks like multiple engineering students reported that the hidden course fees are an unexpected financial burden. Bad would be engineers said their classes are too hard. Good would be 8 out of 10 business students reported wanting extending dining options in the Student Center at night. Bad would be the line for the Student Center Chick-fil-A takes long sometimes. And can SGA host me on Instagram? Yes. However, if you want to be posted, you must be present at a set time and location for the entire duration of the semester. The Instagram is run on a very tight schedule, and they need to know well in advance. So if that's something you would want to do next semester, let us know. It'll probably be form of the GroupMe. Are there any questions?
So is long CLA, is this starting this week, or when is this going to go into?
So should this be passed, it will be officially in the code, meaning that it could be required for the last week, but considering the finals are coming up, it'll be in consideration to postpone it to next semester. Any additional questions? All right.
Do you want office hours inside our school? Do we all part of time together, or can we spell it separate?
Yeah, so inside your school for your feedback hour, you're not required to do that with anybody else as part of your school, but last year I did, and I found it beneficial that doing it as a group can increase the amount of people that come up to you. So that is an option. Any other questions? Yes.
Martin, College of Forestry. What if you sit in your college for an hour and no one comes up and talks to you?
Right. That is something that is a problem that you will likely run into if you're not being public or present. The idea is to be actively engaged with signage so that you don't run into that problem. Should it happen though, I would like for you, if you sit there for 40 minutes and you see that no one's engaging with your signage or your question that you have asked, maybe be proactive and ask some people around you. Any additional questions? All right, thank you all. We will now move into report to liaisons, starting with Honors Congress. Okay, next with BSU, ASVA, ROTC, ISO.
Okay, hi everyone. So, just like Amelia was saying earlier, if you're a graduate student here, we would love to know areas that we could put on that Tiger Transit route. We had that housing meeting for international students last week, and it went amazingly. And basically, our thoughts on something that we could potentially do is because so many international students rely on peer information, we thought what we could do is have a website or on the Auburn housing page, where we have written information, and then we also have videos taken by international students here to go over some of the core issues that international students are having. So it's like you're getting explained to it by a peer on an official website with an official script with 100% certified information. So that's one idea we're having. We're also talking about talking with Tiger Transit to get some buses put back later so that graduate students are able to reliably have transportation. And then last thing we were thinking about is the potential, once again, very potential, of having graduate/family housing at Auburn. Once upon a time we used to. I don't know why that happened. Is anybody aware of what happened there? Just money issue, probably.
I believe Dr. Woodard mentioned to me that it was just too expensive to have that. There wasn't that much demand back then. Demand might have grown, but it's still pretty low.
Okay. It was just one of the largest complaints we had during our surveying was the issue of family and graduate housing. So we were thinking about seeing if the demand is any greater than it was back then, because that was something that was mentioned during that meeting. But that's all my thoughts about it. Once again, if you're a graduate student, please come up to me or Amelia and tell us where you're at so that we can work on that. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Next in order or current orders of business, starting with PSSB 26040601. This bill is brought to you by Senator Baldwin.
Okay, hey y'all. Baldwin Pharmacy. I am moving to pass this bill as written. You all saw it last week. It's the updates to the College of Liberal Arts Constitution.
Is there a second? Second. It is moved and seconded to adopt the bill just read. Is there any debate? Seeing there's none, we will now move into a vote on canvas. Is anyone having trouble finding this? Just waiting on the public. Y'all can try to refresh, make sure you see it. All right, the yeses have it. just read. Is there any debate? Okay, seeing there is no further debate, we'll move into a vote. Is everyone able to see that? Okay. The yeses have it, and this bill has been adopted. All right, next in order is current orders of business PSSB 26040703, brought to you by 040603, brought to you by Senator Long.
Long CLA, these are the dates for this ongoing timeline that we talked about last week with Jay Tate. Move to pass the bill as written.
Is there a second? It's moved and seconded to adopt the bill just read. Is there any debate? Seeing there is no further debate, we move into a vote. All right, the yeses have it, and this bill has been adopted. Next in order, current orders of business, PSSB 040604, brought to you by me. Ask for approval of the following. This is the office hour code that I just gave the presentation on, defining it with an involvement hour, feedback hour. I move to pass this bill as written. Is there a second? Second. It is moved and seconded to adopt the bill just read. Is there any debate? All right, seeing there's no further debate, we'll move into a vote. The yeses have it, and this bill has been adopted. Next in order are current orders of business, PSSB 26040605, brought to you by Senator Dorshut.
Dorshak, CLA.
This is a bill I presented last week. Again, this is just confirming our CADC senators and on their respective committees. I move to pass this bill as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
It is moved and seconded to adopt the bill just read. Is there any debate? Seeing none, this will move into a vote. have it, and this bill's been adopted. Next in order is future orders of business, PSSB 26041301. This bill is brought to you by Senator Parker.
Parker Business, I ask for the approval of the following: the allocation of $17,997.50 to Auburn Circle for the fall 2026 semester. This amount will be allocated among the following categories as shown.
All right, are there any questions on this future order? Seeing none, we'll move. Seeing none, we move into PSSB 26041302, brought to you by Senator Wilkie.
Hey, all, Max Spiegelman, Welke Business. I asked for the following: the allocation of $48,442.50 to the Blackston Meeting for the fall 2026 semester. This amount will be allocated among the following categories shown.
Are there any questions on this future order? All right, thank you. Seeing none, we will move on to PSSB 041303, brought to you by Senator Benz.
Benz Engineering. I ask for the approval of the following: the allocation of $46,427.50 to Eagle Eye TV for the fall 2026 semester. This amount will be allocated among the following categories as shown.
Are there any questions on this future order?
Are they purchasing new equipment, or is that how much it costs?
Every year, they have the same line item equipment, and it's for replacing equipment, which usually runs out like once every 5 years, and they try to cycle a camera like once every 5 years.
Any further questions?
Didn't we just approve extra money to be allocated for that?
I think that was different than the equipment line item. That was a situation where they need a certain software to run.
Yeah, that's because
It's called,
the TriCaster we had broke, and we can't do anything without it, so we had to buy a new one, and the used model was pretty
they basically said
expensive.
they couldn't run Weagle or any of their stuff without it, and it was very necessary, so that already.
Are there any further questions? Seeing none, we will move in to PSSB 26041304, brought to you by Senator Hathcock.
Hathcock, Cosin. I ask for the approval of the following: the allocation of $95,852.50 to service programs for the fall 2026 semester. This amount will be allocated among the following categories as shown.
Are there any questions on this future order? All right, thank you. Seeing none, we will move on to PSSB 041305, brought to you by Senator Lamar.
Auburn Engineering. I ask for the approval of the following: the allocation of $61,942.50 to Lead Auburn for the fall 2026 semester. This amount will be allocated among the following categories as shown.
Are there any questions on this future order? Seeing none, thank you. We will now move on to PSSB 26041306, brought to you by Senator Moore.
Martin, College of Forestry. I ask for the approval of the following: the allocation of $86,792.50 to the International Student Organization Fall 2026 semester. This amount will be allocated among the following categories.
Are there any questions on this future order? All right, thank you. Seeing none, we will now move on to PSSB 26041307, brought to you by Senator Klein.
Physics. I ask for the approval of the following: the allocation of $310,112.50 for the Student Government Association budget for the 2025 fall semester. This amount will be allocated among the following categories as shown.
Are there any questions on this future order? Before we vote, can we say our last name?
Oh, what was engineering? Before we vote, can we get that changed?
Yes.
Any further questions?
What is the amount of $24,865 being allocated for against that $120,000 that's being allocated to GSC?
You have my time to winter.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
So last week we saw that the GSC was allocated $120,000. In the graduate professional schools line item, we have $144,865. Where is $24,865 going?
Yeah, so the $120,000 that was approved for the graduate school SAO budget.
Okay.
And the rest of that money goes towards the other, I think, 2 line items that is under the grad school.
What are those 2 line items?
Ben's engineering, pharmacy school SAO funding is $21,265, and veterinary medicine SAO funding.
Thank you.
All right, are there any further questions on this future order?
Thank you for the recognition from the chair. What were the internal cuts that SGA made this year?
There were no other cuts.
Internal cuts before the budget and finance hearing.
I yield my
Jackson might.
There were various cuts. I'd be happy to walk you through them, one of which was executive name tags, those thousands. Again, if you'd like to talk about it, I can give you, it's not just one large $20,000 cut. There were a lot of line items that amount a lot into that. No.
I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, $20,000 in name tags? Is that what you said?
No, I said that was one example.
Okay, yeah. From last year's budget, this is only, I believe, $3,000 more or less. I'm looking at it. It's $3,000 more, actually. Can you explain that?
I mean, the grad school line is increasing $23,000. So it's going to make the whole thing bigger. So if you subtract that, it's not increasing.
Better Relations Day was also significantly more last year.
This is not the time for debate.
Sorry.
I can ask individual questions.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Better Relations Day, real quick, was held here last year versus Alabama this year. That's why. But it's not the time for debate. So.
Are there any further questions on this future order?
My only most important question is my comment is the graduate and professional school. I don't know. I think it would be much more better if we can have it like subdivided, like the one coming to the GSE, the one coming to defense, some other line item. I think that would be like a better way to do that. Afford question.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any further questions on this future order? Seeing none, we'll now move into PSSB 26041309, brought to you by Senator Walker.
Auburn Engineering, ask for the approval of the following: the allocation of $168,742.50 for the student organization's budget for the 2026 fall semester. This amount will be allocated among the following categories as shown.
Are there any questions on this future order? Seeing none, we will now move into PSSB 26041309, brought to you by Senator Walker. 04/13/10, brought to you by Senator Congo.
Congo at large, I ask for the approval of the following: the allocation of $573,557.50 to the University Program Council for the fall 2026 semester. This amount will be allocated among the following categories as shown.
Are there any questions on this future order?
Engineering, what items fall under that executive?
It's mainly just their team development. Actually, I can just pull it up to be exact. But it's more internal operations. Okay. I don't want time to brag.
Under the executive line item, is there a fall concert that hold a GPAC? That's the majority of that line item.
All right, are there any further questions on this future order?
Everyone in this room has access to look into the BNF folder if you want some more clarification on what some of these specific line items are going towards.
And I would encourage y'all to do that. Are there any further questions on this future order? Seeing none, thank you. We'll now move into PSSB 26/04/13/11, brought to you by Senator Benz.
Men's engineering, I ask for approval of the following. The allocation of $33,045 to Weagle 91.1 FM for the fall 2026 semester. This amount will be allocated among the following categories as shown.
Are there any questions on this future order?
Engineering, I don't think those numbers add up. There's 50 cents on student stipends, and I would say that reflected in the allocation. I don't know if more numbers are off, but it's at least 50 cents.
Yeah, final budget submission has no 50 cents. I mean, I'm looking at the final fall budget submission, and it says student stipends don't have 50 cents.
Look into it, please.
All right. Are there any further questions on this future order? Okay. Seeing none, thank you. We'll now move into announcements. Starting from Lily. She wants a poll on grade transparency for colleges. Have your colleges been transparent with their grades? Okay, I might have said the whole thing there. She'll miss y'all tonight. She's meeting with Dr. Gardner this week. Finalizing vacancies this week, and that is her number. She loves you guys. This meeting, seeing that it is 8:33, this meeting is